Hey there, hope you are doing fine. This is Mr. Philip Kaoma, the excellent biology tutor. This is a weekend past paper tutorial video, and this is part 2. We're looking at nutrition in plants. Without wasting much of your time, let us begin. Alright, so the questions are coming from paper 2, okay? These questions are coming from paper 2. So as usual, pause the video, try to answer the questions on your own before you hear the answer. Alright, so yeah, let us begin. Cells, let me just get my pointer. Okay. So cells labeled X, Y, and Z are capable of making glucose when the leaf is exposed to sunlight. All right. Okay, so that's the information that we've been given. Cells labeled X, Y, and Z are capable of making glucose when the leaf is exposed to sunlight. So in short, cells X, Y, and Z are able to synthesize glucose, all right? They're able to carry out the process of photosynthesis, making glucose when the leaf is exposed to sunlight. That's the information that we have. So we've got these cells. We've got this cell, which is X, okay? Then we've got this cell, which is Y. And then we've got this cell, which is Z. So all of these three cells, they are capable of making glucose when the leaf is exposed to sunlight. By the way, this is the internal structure of a leaf. Okay, this is the detailed structure or internal structure of a leaf. All right. So place the X, place the cells X, Y, and Z in order of increasing amount of glucose in each cell after the leaf has been exposed to 2 hours of sunlight, starting with the least amount of glucose. So they are telling us to um, write the or place the cells in an order from the least to the most. Okay, from a cell which produces the least amount of glucose to a cell which produces the most amount of glucose. That's what they are asking us here. We have to place the cells in order, okay, from the least to the most. So looking at the three cells that we have, X, Y, and Z, which cell produces the least, okay, the least amount of glucose? That's the first one, because we're listing them, or we're placing them from the least, okay, because they are saying starting with the least amount of glucose. So I'm going to place the cells from the least to the most, from a cell which makes the least amount of glucose to a cell that makes the most amount of glucose. I hope you understand. So looking at what we have here, we've got this cell which is X, we've got Y and Z. So the cell which makes the least amount of glucose here is Y. Okay, Y is the cell which makes the least amount of glucose. I'm also going to give you a research to find out what this cell is. What is Y? What is Y? What is the name of this cell which we've labeled Y? So Y is the first cell that we're going to place in this list. It is the cell which produces the least amount of glucose, followed by Z. Okay, followed by Z. This is the next cell which produces at least moderate amounts of glucose. Then finally X. So X produces the most amount of glucose. Yeah, so that's the order. It is Y, Z, X. Simple as that. All right, simple as that. So give reasons for your answer in A number 1 above. So why? Because this, looking at this cell which is X, it is the one that is near to the surface of this leaf. So obviously it's going to absorb more light energy than these cells. This cell is at the bottom of the leaf, but this cell is at the top, okay, near to the surface of the leaf. Okay, so it is going to be exposed to more sunlight energy than this cell and this cell. So that's the reason. Okay, that is the reason why I'm saying that this cell will carry out photosynthesis and to make a lot of glucose than the other cells. Another reason is when you look at this cell, looking at structure A. Structure A is known as what? Structure A is the chloroplast. and that's where photosynthesis takes place. That's where the glucose is made. So looking at this cell, it has got more chloroplast than the remaining two cells, okay? And since it has got more chloroplast, it will give it an advantage to carry out the process of photosynthesis more than the other two cells. So that's the other reason, okay? Because cell X has got more chloroplast uh, than the other remaining two cells. So those are the answers for the first two questions. Those are the answers for the first two questions, because the production of photosynthesis, in looking at question 2, are still giving the reason. So the production of glucose, by photosynthesis depends on the amount of chloroplast contained in the cell. So cell X has got more chloroplast compared to the two cells here. All right. Identify the part labeled B. Identify the part labeled B. So this is the part here. Identify the part labeled B. So this is a space. Okay, this is a space inside a leaf, and this space is known as air space. Okay, this is the air space here. This is the air space. Simple, simple. Identify the structures labeled A. So A, like I said, it's the chloroplast. A is simply the chloroplast. Then the final question, explain the role of the part labeled A during photosynthesis. What is the role of chloroplast during photosynthesis? So chloroplast contains a green pigment known as chlorophyll, which traps light energy needed for photosynthesis. Okay, it is as well as the site of photosynthesis. So chloroplast, that's where photosynthesis takes place. That's the role. Okay, it's more like a kitchen. Okay, that's the role it plays. It provides that space for photosynthesis to take place because it contains a green pigment which will trap the energy required for the process of photosynthesis. So that's the role of the part labeled A, which we've identified as the chloroplast. All right, my excellent biology students, we are learning. Let's move on to the next question. Question 2. Question 2. All right, that's what we have here. So the graph shows the concentration of carbon dioxide in air samples taken from around the foliage of a group of plants growing in a greenhouse. The samples were taken at intervals during the 24 hours. Okay, so the graph shows the concentration of what? Carbon dioxide. So looking at this graph, it's looking at the concentration. It's focusing on the concentration of carbon dioxide in the environment. Okay, it's looking at the concentration of carbon dioxide. So as you can see, on the x-axis we've got time. This is 6 a.m. This is 12 at noon. Okay, so this is 12 hours. This is 6 p.m., which is 18 hours. Then we've got 12 midnight, which is 24 hours. And then we've got 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so from 6 to 12, we can see that there's a decrease in the amount of carbon dioxide up to X, and then we can see that the carbon dioxide starts to increase from 12 hours going up to 18 to 24. You can see that there's an increase here in the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. Okay, so at X, carbon dioxide it's low, okay, in the environment. Then at Z, it's high, it's highly concentrated. All right, so we've understood what we have. This is the graph that we have. Now the question is, explain the low concentration of carbon dioxide at X. Why is it that at X we've got low concentration of carbon dioxide? So we first have to ask ourselves, what time is at X? We can see that it's 12, right? 12. And you will agree with me that at 12 hours, kazuwa nishikachoka manje, it's very hot at 12 hours compared to at 18 or 6. At 12, very hot. What does that mean? Because photosynthesis is only going to take place when there's light energy. So at 12 hours, there's that increase in terms of light energy. Okay, because apanshikachoka manje kazuwa. So the reason why the concentration of carbon dioxide in the environment is low at X is because it's used up in the process of photosynthesis. At this point, a plant is taking up most of the carbon dioxide to make its own food. That's the reason why carbon dioxide is low at X. Okay, that's the reason. Then B, explain the increase in concentration at Y. Okay, let's just end there. Explain the increase in concentration at Y. So we can see that there is now an increase. Carbon dioxide is increasing. The concentration of carbon dioxide is increasing in the atmosphere. Okay, it's increasing in the environment. Why is that? At Y, we can see that it's 18 hours. So the light energy which is there at 18 cannot be compared to the light energy which is there at 12. Okay, there is more light energy at 12 than at 18. So since there is less light energy at 18 hours, we can see that there is the rate of photosynthesis will also reduce. Okay, what does that mean? It means photosynthesis won't be taking place at the same rate as it was taking place when it was 12 hours. So this will mean that this plant will stop taking in much carbon dioxide. Okay, instead it will now switch to another process known as respiration. Respiration is a process by which a living organism makes its own energy, right? So during the day, a plant will make its own food, and that food will be used in the evening to make energy now in the process of respiration. And the byproduct of this process known as respiration is carbon dioxide. We are going to learn about this when we start looking at respiration. So 18 going up, 18, 19, 20, a plant carries out respiration. It's now the opposite. Okay, respiration is taking place at a high rate in the evening, causing a plant to give out carbon dioxide. Okay, so a plant is now using that food which it made during the day, using it to make energy, and in the process of making energy, it is producing carbon dioxide, giving out carbon dioxide into the environment. And we can see that the concentration of carbon dioxide in the environment will start increasing okay, up to midnight. We can see that up manje pa midnight yapakirako manje carbon dioxide. That is why it's not advisable to sleep with plants, because they give out carbon dioxide during the night. Okay, so plant muzuwa, it makes its own food. In the evening, it uses that food to make energy, and that energy will now be used in different processes like growth, repairing of damaged tissues. You understand? So like you, why do you eat? You eat so that you can have energy. Are you following? But you do not make your own food. You have to obtain it from other organisms. That's what heterotrophic nutrition, right? Yeah. So you are going to obtain that food, and that food now will be used to make energy, which you're going to use in different processes like walking, doing different activities. It's the same with a plant, but for a plant during the day, it will make that food in the process of photosynthesis, and it will be giving out oxygen. Okay, and then during the night, it will use that food that it made during the day to make energy now, producing carbon dioxide in the environment. That is why we're seeing that there's an increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. All right, so explain high concentration of carbon dioxide at Z. I think I've explained. Okay, I think I've already explained. Okay, because at midnight, 12 hours, there is no light energy. And by the way, this is referring to plants that are growing like outside. Okay, they were obtained from a greenhouse, then now they are growing outside. Okay, so at midnight, there's no light energy for this plant to carry out photosynthesis. It will be giving out carbon dioxide instead, because now it is carrying out the process of respiration. All right, my excellent biology students, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial video. Okay, this has been Mr. Philip Kauma, the excellent biology tutor. This marks the end of photosynthesis, also known as nutrition in plants. Our next topic will be now announced. Otherwise, from me, Mr. Philip Kauma, the excellent biology tutor, stay blessed.